Two of the greats in their respective industries linked up for a great interview this week. John Rothstein, Dan Hurley. And we got an inside look at a lot of Hurley's early feelings about this upcoming UConn season. I'll reserve many of my thoughts for after you go here because I have quite a few after listening to this full interview. But shout out to Rothstein. You should go listen to the full episode of Inside College Basketball with Rothstein and Dan Hurley. There is a clip here where Dan Hurley compares this upcoming UConn team to a previous team that he coached. And I'm just going to play it. We'll hear his full thoughts, and then you and I can react to it. This is Dan Hurley comparing this UConn team to one of his previous teams.
Yeah, I think it's a lot for me. More like the 23 team. Where I do think it's it's a strength in numbers. I think the depth is what's going to make it. Make it potentially a championship team or a special season for us where like that battle with our top 10 players, you're going to have to do the things that we didn't do last year or else you're just not going to stay on the court. So we obviously had major defensive issues last year. We had rebounding issues at times. I think obviously the health and some of the things that we tried to do at point guard this year, I think with Demery and Malachi Smith, and Alec, Melander and, Jacob Furphy, who's got some ability to play over there at 6'5" plus. I think we can, rectify a lot of our defense and rebounding, and I think the quality we've got at point guard, can solve some of those things from last year. Because if you don't defend for us this year or rebound the ball the way UConn has built its championship identity on, you're not going to play. And last year, players got minutes, that didn't guard anywhere near the level that we need them to guard at.
We'll stop it there. Very honest assessment from Dan Hurley on what went wrong last season. He hit many of the key points you and I have raised repeatedly. The point guard spot wasn't good enough. The center spot was too inconsistent and most of the time not good enough. The cupboard was bare, for lack of a better word. He had very good wings, but not options that gave them championship caliber play at multiple positions. He clearly feels that's fixed, and he feels it's tied back to depth. They can go 10 deep, much like the 2023 team that won a national championship. Is this a stretch of the imagination for you? Do you think this is classic Dan Hurley hyperbole, or do you think this is real?
I honestly think it's real. I do think it's real. I think, I'm looking at programs this summer and just like this past, I don't know, whatever offseason you want to talk about, right? And it's between UConn and Purdue for me as far as addressing issues. I think Purdue did an amazing job at adding players to address the issues that they had. I think UConn did the same thing as well while also having retention. They get Caravan back. They get Terrace back. Oh, we had some point guard issues last year, maybe a little bit too much Hassan DR than we would have probably liked. All right, bet. Then you bring in Silas Demery and also you bring in a guy like Malachi Smith that could back him up as well. You bring in a great recruiting class. You get Jacob Furphy from overseas. You get Big E. You get Braylon Mullins as well. You also return some bench guys like Jalen Stewart that could be, contributors on this basketball team. I do think that last year there were a lot of uncharacteristic things that occurred based on the roster that did not occur in the first, those championship runs by UConn. And, I'm not saying that, oh, now they did all this, now they give them, now they're, we'll see them in Indy. But I will say it puts them in that conversation. And I think Hurley realizes that. I think that there were some upgrades to the point guard spot, and they do have an upgrade as well because you look to last year, the big rotation was what, Sampson and Terrace. Now you have a very talented freshman, and I think it's Rybe. I got to get it right. I'm sorry. I just like calling him Big E at this point because I don't like getting it wrong. And then Terrace, who I think is poised for somewhat of a breakout year in the second year of the program with UConn. So I think that Hurley's spot on with everything he's saying.
So to me, I agree. I did a little bog thoughts video. I went to the bog this morning and was thinking about Dan Hurley on my long walk in the bog. And
That had to be kind of fun.
yeah, it was terrifying, honestly. I started hearing noises. I thought I saw some animals, thought I heard a gunshot at one point. Yeah, that's usually on brand when I think about Dan Hurley. He much like Matt Painter, I like you mentioning Purdue in this. I feel like those two guys went through the same cycle of mistakes last year. I think, for lack of a better word, and Dan Hurley might even admit this, I think their ego got in the way a little bit. I think they got to the national title game, or Purdue's case got to the national title game. UConn's case won back-to-back national titles. And I think Dan Hurley thought he was infallible. I think he thought he could take any players in America and win at that level with them. And I think we tried to point out the holes in that last summer. And it's a dangerous game trying to poke holes in what Dan Hurley's doing. But by the end of the year, it became clear to Hurley, to UConn fans, to everybody, there were holes on this roster that were not addressed. Certain guys that they thought they were getting were not as good as what they thought. Even if Aiden Mahaney was awesome, it wasn't going to fix point guard for them. It wasn't going to fix the inconsistency of a team that starts Samson Johnson at center and brings Terrace Reed off the bench. Um, to me, I don't feel like Dan Hurley's missed this summer, and I feel the same way about Painter. But I think last year you could argue what they went through is arguably what will reset them back on a championship warpath, where they now realize, oh shit, I do still have to build the roster. Even though I'm the greatest coach in the sport, I can't just snap my fingers and make players that aren't good defensively defend. I can't teach certain guys that are 22 years old to do things they're not capable of. And he fixed it. He fixed the roster. That's the important part. Malachi Smith is a backup point guard. Portal at is like absurdly high level. Demery should be really good and has a lot of Tristan Newton similarities. Mullins is a stud. We know that. You retain Ball and Caravan, great. You still got to pitch me on the Terrace Reed breakout, but I'm bought in based on everything we've seen. And at
Right.
minimum, Eric Ryby is very Donovan Clingan-esque off the bench in year one. Jacob Furphy feels like the forgotten piece to me. He was one of the best players at the FIBA World Cup. And I mean, that it kind of speaks to the depth Hurley's talking about of like, we're going to go 10 deep. And if you don't take care of business, you won't play. Last year, I had to play Hassan Diarra even if he made mistakes. I had to play Samson Johnson even if he made mistakes. You don't have to do that this year anymore because you have fixed the roster. But to me, there's still a question here because you and I completely agree on everything I just said. He's crushed it. He loves his team. That scares us. It's still a little bit of a leap of the imagination to go from like, I love my team, we go 10 deep, I can hold everyone accountable, to it's a lot like 2023. It is that the part that makes sense to you still, or do you think it's just he loves his team?
So it makes sense to me in this regard. I think you look back to the year before the championship for UConn, G. It was like, who was on that team? It was like RJ Cole, I think, was on that team. Martin, was it Tyrese Martin? You remember that team?
Yep.
Yeah, it was those guys. And then that summer, they bring in Tristan Newton. That's the point guard transfer. That's kind of they also bring in Hassan Diarra, I think, that year in the transfer portal to be a backup guard. They get guys like Naheem Aline, and then you have Klingon was the prize recruit of that class that came in there. So I do think that I somewhat see the similarities that I feel like it was a down-ish year by UConn standards, and Hurley was very aggressive in getting the roster to a better spot. They return pieces. They return guys like Andre Jackson Jr. I think Caravan was a redshirt freshman or sophomore on that team coming in that first year, 2022, 2023. They had like other guys come in, like Calcaterra transfer in. So I just think that I do kind of see it as far as like the roster wasn't in a spot that Hurley felt good about it, and he went out and he made changes to that roster. And it started with Tristan Newton. So maybe that's like the initial I see that kind of one for one right away. That Silas Demery is the point guard that's supposed to fix this and not have him play Hassan Diarra.
Okay. Yeah, I buy the comp largely just because of depth. because I think back to that first UConn team, it really did feel like they were 10 deep. Like even Calcaterra and Caravan were just gunning shots. You had Jordan
Exactly.
Hawkins
Yeah,
still
they
on that
brought back
team.
Hawkins for a sophomore year.
Right. But I think for me, the where I get a little bit lost is I just think Donovan Clingan was really, really special. And even if there are similarities between Clingan and Ryby, like we were at those games in the Final Four. You remember what it was like watching them bring Clingan off the bench?
Yeah, it was well, honestly, it was a scary thought, but also Klingon was still like baby Klingon at that point, you know what I'm saying? He had the injury stuff kind of going on. He still had that little baby fat going, but like it was kind of sick that they went from Adama and then like all of a sudden you get hit with Klingon.
I mean, Adam will get tired for 5 minutes, and they'd be like, "All right, bring in the 7 2 kid that's clearly going to be a lottery pick next year,
Whose nickname is Kling Kong.
who screams at your face and points at his dad every time he does anything." Like that was just all I would say is the part of the comparison to 2023 that loses me is that even if Terrace Reed is going to be great, and even
Can I rebuttal why that should matter though?
sure,
Because I think the rest of the roster in comparison to 2023 is better.
yeah, I disagree. I now again, I'm okay with the comp, but Jordan Hawkins is better than any guard on this team. That's not an argument. Sonogo is better than Terrace Reed will be. Not an argument. Freshman Klingon is better than freshman Ryby will be. I don't think there's an argument. So again, I think this team can be as good as that team? Yeah, because I think that this team's arguably deeper even. Like I think Jacob Furphy off the bench might be a better off the bench piece than any guard or wing back on that year's team. It's going to come down to what Demery is, and I feel like there's a lot of like, well, Demery's 6'5", it's big guard like Newton. Yeah, yeah, maybe. Newton was a monster in year two and had good moments, was good for most of the year in year one at UConn. So like, I don't know. We don't know what Demery's going to be. We think he'll be pretty similar to the level Newton was, but to me, like Solo Ball's had moments. He's had games with like 25 points. He's not Jordan Hawkins. Like, there's no world where Solo Ball ends up a lottery pick this year, is there?
No, but also Hawkins wasn't a lottery pick.
He's close, wasn't he?
Nah, he was
Where
like
did
in
New Orleans take him?
like 24.
You sure?
Yeah,
I want to
that's
fact
something
check on that.
you might need to. I
He
thought
was
he was
the
in the 20.
14th overall pick, the last pick in the lottery in the 2023 draft.
Correct for you.
Again, I like the comp. I just think I don't like it's kind of like we do this with players. It's like, why are we comparing a point guard we really like to like the next Cassius Winston? Like 2023 was really special and really did have NBA talent all over it. And Adama was like a first team All American level player. That's a pretty high bar for Terrace. It's a pretty high bar for Solo Ball, who was inconsistent last year, and pretty high bar for Ryby, who got punked by Terrace last week. So, but I guess maybe in Hurley's head, I don't know, like Furphy and Mullins and Stewart off the bench and Malachi Smith off the bench, like make this team deeper enough that they make up the ground between how high the ceiling of the stars on the 23 team was. I don't know.
Yeah.
But like,
It also might be more of like a mentality thing than an actual personnel thing.
you think?
Maybe. Like maybe it's just like these guys in general have a combination of talent and mentality that I think fits better or reminds him of that team.
Yeah, I would buy that. I mean, at minimum, Dan Hurley clearly loves this team. And again, I don't think he's missed this offseason. So we should all be running scared from that. Like the kids and weapons. Can I run like this? Hurley, let's say Dan Hurley coaches the 2023 team and a clone of Dan Hurley coaches the 2025 UConn Huskies. What's the score of that game? 40-minute game.
Which arena is this at? XL Center or Gamble?
Neutral site.
Ooh, where neutral?
Madison Square Garden.
Billy Joel touring or no?
Joel is touring. Yeah.
Ooh,
So we
Joel
got a
touring.
hungover Dan Hurley in
Got a
both.
hungover Dan Hurley fired Madison Square Garden Thursday show into coaching. I mean, I'm taking that 2023 team, but I'm thinking about it. Like I'm thinking about it.
Are you?
I am thinking about it because I just think that like you look at the piece, maybe it's the depth that's getting me. Like the fact that like Furphy could be a bench piece on this team, the fact that Mullins is getting all these rave reviews on this team, like a starting lineup of Demery, Ball, Mullins, Caravan, Reed moves me massively.
Mhm.
Like who did that 2022 team start? I know they brought Klingon and them off the bench, but was the starters? Was it Newton, Calcaterra, Hawkins, or who's
Andre
or that?
Jackson, another NBA player, and
Yeah,
Caravan is a what was he, a sophomore, freshman,
redshirt,
sophomore started?
redshirt sophomore, something like that.
I think he might have been a freshman on that team actually.
He redshirted the first year, I think.
Yeah. You want to do our favorite game? Let's pretend this is a real game preview here.
Okay.
I'm excited to hear you answer this. Tristan Newton or Silas Demery?
Tristan Newton.
Jordan Hawkins or Solo Ball?
Which Jordan Hawkins?
Don't be dumb about it.
Which Jordan Hawkins?
The one at UConn that averaged 16 points a game.
Because there was a version of that that averaged five.
The one that
But
averaged 16 points a game and shot 39% from three on 8 attempts a game as a sophomore on the national title winner.
yeah, Jordan Hawkins.
Okay, 2 for 2. Braylon Mullins or Andre Jackson?
Braylon Mullins.
UConn fans, I don't even think are going to like that answer from you.
That's fine.
You sure on that? How sure are we? Very different players, but how sure on that are we?
I'm sure.
Okay. All right. New Caravan versus old Caravan is new Caravan.
New Caravan.
And then Adama Sanogo, Terrace Reed.
Adam Sanogo.
Do we want to do some bench pieces, Klingon or Rivey?
Klingon.
Naheem Aline or Malachi
Fur-
Smith?
Furphy or
I'm doing Furphy Calcaterra. We can give that to Furphy.
uh Malachi.
Taking Malachi Smith over Naheem Aline?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I guess it's closer than we think. But
It-
3-2 starters.
I know you're picking Jordan Hawkins. I know you are.
I don't want to do this. I
I know
like
you
I
are.
like Solo Ball. He's not
I
Jordan
know.
Hawkins.
It's not as far as you think.
I think it's pretty far.
How so?
Solo Ball had every opportunity to be the guy last year and averaged worse numbers than Jordan Hawkins did as the secondary guy on a team with Sonogo.
Didn't Solo Ball what did Hawkins shoot from three?
39% on 8 attempts a game.
We'll Solo Ball at let's see here, 41%. I don't know how many. Let's see how many attempts. 7 attempts a game.
Yeah, I mean, as shooters, it is not all that different. But I think Solo Ball is just, I mean, I don't know, dude. I don't feel like saying anything that's gonna get me in the weeds with UConn Twitter right now. I just think Hawkins was a better player. I
Yeah,
think
I know.
Solo's
I
pretty
think
one-dimensional.
yeah. It's not. I'm not saying it's out of. I'm picking Hawkins. I'm just devil's advocating you here.
I hear you. I don't think Solo Ball comes close to averaging 16 points a game on a team with Sonogo and Klingon and Newton and like Solo Ball had a wide open path. We want you to score 20 last year and got you 14 a game. Jordan Hawkins was just way more productive on a team with way better players.
You're disgusted by this comp. I can feel it in your
I
in your.
am. I don't think they belong anywhere near the same conversation. And I like this. I was flirting with Solo all summer. I think he's a very good player, but he's not Jordan Hawkins. And that's kind of I'm lost on that part of this. Like if we're gonna do this comp, you kind of do have to be like, we have a Sonogo or we have a Hawkins. It can't just be Demery's kind of like Tristan Newton. And if you want to convince me Terrace Reed could be Sonogo, which Rob Doster does, I'll listen.
I won't. So that goes back to the first point. You can still win a championship without comparing players to past UConn championship grades.
But the fact that he is doing it makes me want to go in the fetal position.